Euzubillahimineşşeytanirracim. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Rabbi şrah li sadri ve yessir li emri ve hlul ukdeten min lisani yefkahu kavli. Rabbena la tuzigh qulubana ba'de iz hadaytana ve hab lana min ledunke rahmeten inneke entel vehhab. Allahümme erinel hakka hakkan verzukna ittibahu ve erinel batila batilan verzukna ijtinabahu. Allahümme nawwir qulubana ve şrah sudurana bi nuril Kur'ani vel imani vel İslam. Allahümme salli ala seyyidina Muhammedin ve ala alihi ve ashabihi ve etbaihi ve sellim. Selamun aleyküm ve rahmetullahi ve berekatuh. Inshallah, we will continue our discussion on divine determining and power of choice as it is discussed in 26th word. So we started the 26th word 2 weeks ago, and it starts with a tafsir. It's an interpretation. Just give me a second, please. I apologize for the delay. So this is an interpretation of the words that you see on the screen, which says roughly, in the name of God, merciful, the compassionate, Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. And there is not a thing but its sources and treasures inexhaustible are with us, but we only sent down thereof in due and ascertainable measures. And all of things have we taken account in a clear book. So these two verses explicitly state that whatever you have, whatever you experience in your life, whatever you have with you, it is sent down with a measure, within qadr, the divine determining. And the same way, whatever happens and all things. So I don't remember the Arabic the version, please help me, but I believe this of all things is mentioned with kullu shayin, maybe, which is inclusive of everything. It's not like of all actions only, or of all wealth. It's everything that you can think of. Is in a clear book. It's written. It's determined. Okay? So that's the way these verses are, at least can be understood. Hence, the author says we will study here divine determining and the power of choice. We started reading, and it started with a kind of not definition, but maybe providing some limits, a scope to understand, which is the author says, if you want to study divine determining and power of choice, he says, don't forget that they are the final limits of Islam and belief, which means it should be studied in the state where you reached certain conclusions, maybe. And they are they pertain to the state and conscience, which done. So do not try to take them as purely theoretical arguments or things about the knowledge. So that was the scope author defined at the very beginning. And then the author mentioned their utility, why we have such thing as divine determining and power of choice as we experience. Not like, my question is not why the creator mentioned this to you, or why the scholars of Islam put some rules about divine determining and power of choice. Rather, my question pertains that the sense of divine determining and the sense of power of choice that we already have built. What is the utility of them? And the author says they are there to guide you. Divine determining is there to save you from misguided pride, that you do things, you achieve things. Divine determining is there to save you from this. It tells you that no, whatever you have, whatever you appreciate, it is coming from your creator directly. It is in his hands. And then the utility of the power of choice is to remind you the sense of responsibility that you should have when you act in a way that bothers you or bother others, and you know that there's something wrong in it. Then the power of choice comes and tells you that it was your choice. So you are responsible of this. So be careful. What you think, what you say, what you do should be measured before put into action. The author mentioned the utilities as such, and then I believe, did we study this part? Yes, as the Quran states, man is totally responsible for his evils. But there's some important part we didn't discuss. Okay, let's read from this paragraph then. And I will hand it to Yusuf. Would it be okay? Since you know what is important. Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Yes, as the Quran states, man is totally responsible for his evils, for it is he who wants the evils. Since evils are destructive, man may perpetrate much destruction with a single evil act, like burning down a house with one match, and he becomes deserving of an awesome punishment. However, he does not have the right to take pride in good deeds. His part in them is extremely small. For what wants and requires the good deeds is divine mercy, and what creates them is dominical power. For what wants and requires the good deeds is divine mercy, and what creates them is dominical power. Both request and reply, reason and cause are from God. Man only comes to have them through supplication, belief, consciousness, and content. This was the important part that I wanted to highlight. Do you mind reading it again? Man only comes to have them, like good deeds, man only comes to have them through supplication, belief, consciousness, and consent. As for evils, it is man's soul that wants them, either through capacity or through choice. Like in the white and beautiful light of the sun, some substances become black and putrefy, and the blackness is related to their capacity. However, it is Almighty God who creates the evils through a divine law, which comprises numerous benefits. That is to say, the cause and the request are from the soul for the evil, The cause and the request are from the soul, so that it is the soul which is responsible, while it is Almighty God who creates the evils and brings them into existence. And since they have other good results and fruits which are good, they are good. Okay. It is for the above reason that the acquisition, like kasb, of evil, or the choosing of evil, that is, the desire for evil, is evil, but the creation of evil is not evil. A lazy man who receives damage from rain, which comprises many instances of good, may not say that the rain is not mercy. Yes, together with a minor evil in its creation are numerous instances of good. Yes, together with a minor evil in its creation are numerous instances of good. To abandon that good for a minor evil becomes a greater evil. Therefore, a minor evil becomes like good. There is no evil or ugliness in divine creation. They rather pertain to his servant's wish and to his capacity. So I would like to keep reading for another paragraph, because like in these paragraphs, he is actually explaining that issue about evil. So let's read them, and then we can come back for discussing the topic. Furthermore, divine determining is both exempt from evil and ugliness with regard to results and fruits, and free from tyranny and ugliness with respect to reason and cause. Furthermore, divine determining is both exempt from evil and ugliness with regard to the results and fruits. The paragraph that was above was about the results and fruits. The outcome is becoming good, so it becomes good, was the argument. So this is why it's divine determining does not have any evil. But not only that, it is also free from tyranny and ugliness with respect to reason and cause. From the initial like the starting of the event as well. Because divine determining looks to the true causes and acts justly. Men construct their judgments on causes which they see superficially and fall into error within the pure justice of divine determining. So what does he mean? For example, a judge finds you guilty of theft and sends you to prison. You are not a thief, but you have committed a murder which no one knows about. Thus, divine determining also sentenced you to imprisonment, but it sentenced you for the secret murder and acted justly. Since the judge sentenced you for a theft of which you were innocent, he acted unjustly. Thus, in a single thing, the justice of divine determining and divine creation and man's wrongful choice or acquisition were apparent in two respects. You can make analogies with this for other things. That is to say, with regard to origin and end, source and branch, cause and results, divine determining and creation are exempt from evil, ugliness, and tyranny. So let's stop here and go back to this paragraph. So there are, like the whole thing, this paragraph is quite loaded. This one over here, yes, as the Quran states, man is totally responsible for his evils. Because here now, the author is talking about how I am going to be responsible for the bad things that I do, yet I'm not going to take any pride for what good comes out of me. So for that, there were two aspects. So the first one, he says, okay, for the good part, what wants and requires the good deeds is divine mercy.
and what creates them is dominical power. For that, last week's example was seeing a poor person and feeding that poor person. So this desire for goodwill comes to me. I mean, it's not mine, but it comes to me. I can sense that. And also the thing that I'm going to feed this person with, or just the interaction itself, everything is being created from beginning to end. So what wants and requires good deed is divine mercy, and what creates them is dominical power. So this we talked about. Both request and reply, reason and cause are from God. And the rest of the paragraph is about how man is responsible for the evil doings. And then also there was a third part which says how creation of evil is not evil, but choosing of evil is evil. So among these, I want to focus on this sentence. So now that I cannot, if I'm not going to take any, what's my share? Because he was saying that his part in them is extremely small. Man does not have the right to take pride in good deeds. His part in them is extremely small. So what is my role? What is my position in that? The Creator is the one who wants that poor person to be fed, let's say. He is the one who gives that feeling of mercy to my heart. He is the one who suggests me to feed that person. He is the one who makes me walk through that direction, if you like. So everything from beginning to end belongs to him, unless and until I say, no, I don't want this to happen. The Creator creates everything, in a sense. Like if I do not block, I think last week the example of a mirror was also given. A light wants to reflect on me. Unless I block it,
black object was given.
Black object?
Yes.
Yeah. So unless I block it, it's going to reflect through me. It's not me who is going to enlighten anywhere. It is the light source. The only thing I did, if I did anything, is not blocking it, is not preventing it, in a sense. So this is for the good deeds. So this being said, author talks about man only comes to have them through supplication, belief, consciousness, and consent. These are the four things that is being mentioned here for, in a sense, humans' role of free will, or we said juz ikhtiyari, when it comes to hasana, the good. So what do you think about that? The supplication, belief, consciousness, and consent. Because this doesn't sound like, when it comes to choice, I want to say I control things. But the author said, no, you do not control anything. It is divine mercy that requires them. And dominical power is what creates them. So you don't have any share in there. But what is my share? It is supplication, it is belief, it is consciousness, it is consent. So any comments about that? Yes, I shall run out, Rahman.
Assalamu alaikum. Thank you so far for opening us up to this topic and for reading the text. I especially, I guess, the word consent draws my attention, right? Because it brings to mind the idea of response, that my belief in general is my response to things. And, you know, when I think about consent in the context of, let's say, good deeds, right? It makes me think of certain circumstances where it might not be necessarily in my favor to do something, right? But my conscience speaks up and says, hey, you should really do that. Maybe it's helping someone, maybe it's acting in a specific way, maybe it's choosing A instead of B. But when my conscience speaks up, you know, I'm not the one that is bringing forth whatever feeling or state of being that is being brought forth in that moment. But instead, I can either reject it or I can consent to it. And I guess it becomes very obvious that the role I am playing is really just consenting to it, because again, most of the times it might not be what my ego wants. It might not be in my favor in terms of time, money, or comfort. So I don't know, just consent, I guess, and how it is, the notion of consent and how it is also linked to my human response to things, right? I don't have control over things that happen to me. I experience them as they are, but the only thing that I do have, if you will, agency or juzi ikhtiyar in is my response to it. How am I going to respond to this situation? How am I going to respond to this emotion? How am I going to respond to this thought? And sometimes I guess, like, because we really can't, or I can't control what occurs to me or the thoughts that come to me or the dispositions or leanings that I might have, that's where supplication, I think, also comes in, right? I can only ask that it be created for me, or within me. And then once it is, then I consent to it. So I don't know, I'm just kind of rambling a little bit here, but I guess just like how this notion of consent is interlinked with response and supplication, and yeah, I guess like it's just something that I think becomes very obvious and witnessable, if you will, in my reality. You know, I'll just add one more thing. So some of my students in the last semester, in some of their papers, they were writing about, you know, situations in which, let's say, something good happens to their friend, right? And immediately within them might be a sense of like jealousy or a sense of discontentment. But in a sort of second order sense, they're also unhappy with the internal impulse that occurs to them. And this sort of trouble or frustration that they undergo when they are not content with what is coming to them, because they think that what is coming to them defines them or identifies them or characterizes them. But in fact, as I think this paragraph shows, it is what we consent to, it is what we respond to, or how we choose to respond to things that can characterize us or illuminate what path we are choosing constantly to undergo. Yeah, I'll just end there.
Jazakallah khair. Very important points. So in a sense, yes, these four, normally we would say my free choice defines me, my choices, and with the things that I achieve, it's because of my choices. This is how we would say it. But in here, when it comes to the good, he said your choices are not in the sense of creating anything, giving exist to anything. It doesn't have any share in there. But this is where your choices play, or this is your role, if you like, which is supplication, belief, consciousness, and consent. You are not, I mean, this tells me, as if I'm not taking it to the extreme, you're not controlling anything in life. I mean, you are not controlling your family, you're not controlling your career, you're not controlling whatever. These are the things that are within your reach. Supplication. Supplication is a state in which I understand my incapacity, my inability, my neediness. In that state, submitting to that state, I turn my face towards my Creator and ask from Him. That level, that state is supplication. Belief is observing the signs of my Creator, just accepting it, admitting it, not covering it up. This is what belief is. Everything already points to Him. And if I carefully listen to all my senses already say that there must exist a merciful, there must exist an all-knowing one, all-powerful one. If I do not cover it up, that's all I will do. Because already I am, if you like, hardwired to observe all those signs. So not covering up is belief. Consciousness, I mean, about consent, Ayşenur made very good points about that, so I'm not going to talk about that. But for consciousness, what do you think about consciousness? Is it saying that your role in here is to be conscious of what is going on? It's not that you're going to make up anything, you're not going to find new things, just sense what is being put in front of you. And it's not saying intellect here, for instance, because intellect is something you put things on top of each other. And this is why we are being proud of our, findings. This was something that I put forward for the first time.
I have a patent.
He has a patent. So, but in the case of consciousness, you just sense what is being brought to you. And it's also, the consciousness itself is such a thing that focusing on itself is telling you that this very precious feeling of existence is being given to you. The consciousness is, because if I ask, where does this consciousness come from? Consciousness is really, if you like, the gist of my existence. This is where I am tasting existence. Because if I am knocked off, if I lose my consciousness, I come back 10 minutes later as if those 10 minutes didn't exist for me. Like this consciousness is what I would call as existence, how I would experience existence. And as if this one is saying that just be conscious of where all these are coming from. Don't take anything for granted. And this is your role in the existence. Yes.
This part also reminded me that, like, when I first read this sentence, I didn't get it much, but after your explanations, both of you, so it reminded me that the things we see in creation, especially the beautiful things, with beautiful things I mean the things that we enjoy, that we attracted towards, like beauty or mercy or cuteness, I don't know, having an aesthetic value, or being just, being powerful, elegant, all these things that we see in the creation, that we are attracted to. they are there already. And all we do, as you said, is just experience them, being conscious about them. You taste them. But at the same time, it's not readily available for everyone, interestingly. Like you look at a scene, a natural, quote unquote, scene, a beautiful river, mountains, trees. You look at it, you enjoy it, but the conscious part is there for almost everyone. I never seen anyone or heard anyone not enjoying nature. One way or another, everybody kind of enjoy it. But when you start talking about it, when you try to give some details about your experience, Yusuf says, look at this, how, like, what kind of artist creating this in front of me, because there's a huge aesthetic value in it. All the colors, how they come together, the size of the leaves, the color transition within a tree and even within a leaf, it's carefully designed. You see a design there. You see art there. Yusuf sees. But his wife looks at the same scene and she says, what are you talking about? Like, it's beautiful, but it's just, a bulk of a natural thing. Like, you're just being poetic. There's no art there, she says. So the artistic value in this scene is only accessible to Yusuf, but not to his wife. Hypothetically. Another Yusuf, not our Yusuf. So that means there's something missing in one of them, right? And Odor is kind of saying that it is because they are available to you, they become part of your experience when you supplicate, when you believe, or when you submit, maybe, when you taste it, and when you consent. Otherwise, you will just have the enjoyment. Sometimes you don't even get the enjoyment, right? The natural scene is an extreme example, because the majority of our lives are defined by things in which defining beauty is really hard. You should really supplicate. You should really have a belief. And you should consent that it is being created by the beautiful one. Otherwise, you won't have them. And I was walking with a friend among some flowers, or the beautiful things, let's say. And I was saying, look at this beauty. And he very sincerely told me, oh yeah, it is. I usually just walk and I only see a mess in front of me so that I can change my path, or or I don't crash with the tree. So that's the way I see things. The color of the things, or how they design and so on, it's usually not accessible to me, he said. And he was very sincere. So, yet the good things, we don't have any right in them. And sometimes, maybe most of the times, like, check your life. Most of the times, they are not accessible to you. They are not part of your experience.
Jazakallah khair. So, or even if they become part of your experience, would they be good or evil? Like without that perspective, if I try to own them without these, like wrongfully, if I try to steal them, what would they become? Like without the perspective of belief, if I claim that I am the owner of my whatever is within the scope of reach of my hand, I create them. If this is my perception, then even the beautiful natural scene, as you called it, or creational scene, as I would call it, so it would become a troublemaker for me, because it is dying, I am dying, everything becomes evil. Like even the most beautiful newborn baby becomes source of torture for me, because when I see that baby, I would say, oh, actually, this is what we were told.
Who would take care of this baby?
No, even I would feel pity for the baby. What sort of a world are you being born to? Like a few days ago, I was talking to my friend in the department, and he was saying, how is Zainab doing? I said, she's a happy girl, she's happy. He said, oh, he's not aware of what sort of a world she's born into, right? So like you are feeling pity for that girl now, because I mean, this lively little baby becomes a source of pain for you, because the way you look at the universe is so gloomy that a newborn innocent baby becomes, oh, sorry, this is going to get tortured like I am being tortured. So you do not even see that beauty. There's no goodness in your world if it's not there. I mean, even if it is relatively better than burning somewhere, but still, this is almost as bad. So this is really framing the existence in a totally different way, like this paragraph. And again, let's keep in mind that this sort of framing of existence is possible. As the author was saying, this topic of qadar comes at the boundaries of belief. Like to the extent that I am convinced about it, convinced about a maker, a creator, then all these would totally fit into the picture. But if I am having issues, or to the extent that I am having issues that I own something, then what is being said in here is not going to be that much fitting.
Yeah, I guess the belief is goes beyond attributing things to yourself as well. Like even if you attribute things to others, the sources, like you believe the rain, for instance, coming from sky because there are some clouds and there are natural laws taking care of the rain. If you do that, so if you have a problem in your belief, then the rain will become a torture for you as well. Because you are walking on the street and rain starts, and you just say, I'm getting wet. What kind of, the world I'm in? These pens are I just bought them. My fancy white shoes. I love white shoes, but because it's raining, I have mud on them. And as if this is not enough, my husband will make fun of me because I buy white shoes. So this is the life I live in. But if you see rain coming from your creator, who takes care of you, who loves you, then it becomes a source of joy. Like imagine you take a handful of water and play with your daughter by sprinkling the water in your hand on her head, and she would be probably laughing, running around you, and so on. That would be the water would be a source of pleasure for her. But if water is dripping from something you don't even know, you would say, oh, was it ugly or say dirty? Did I have an infection? Or it would be a source of trouble for you. So depending on where it comes from, you will even either enjoy or see it as a trouble. So you have the good things in your life through belief. When you know that it's coming from your creator, who loves you, who sending you this rain so that you can enjoy.
Yep. So I continue with the second part. Now we are getting into the evils part. Oh, Aziz, please go ahead.
Assalamu alaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. That was really helpful. I still though feel like I don't know, the argument isn't balanced well or something. I agree with it. I feel like it's everything there makes sense to me. Like I don't see a part that I disagree with, but I feel like more emphasis is needed on the sinning part, on the evil part. And I just have this desire that I should embrace my evil a little bit, like not to do more evil, but just to kind of feel like that it has value, and it's not going for a waste. It's a learning opportunity, and it's somewhat also, even that learning opportunity and value, I shouldn't take for granted. I'm going to use the other aspect of the argument that says that when we do good, that's we shouldn't be credited for that. And I like that a lot, and I agree with it. But I feel like I want to embrace that evil and say that it's a learning opportunity, and I don't take any credit for that learning opportunity because I was guided to it somewhat. Yeah, I just feel like that's what the author had there was like nice and makes sense, but such a bad deal. If I do good, it just looks like a bad deal. Like if I do good, and that's true though, if I do good, I don't get any credit. But if I do bad, it's all on me, and I get nothing. I'm just not very satisfied with that. And jazakumullah khair. Assalamu
Alaikum salam. You're a valuable evil person, Aziz. I mean, you are too valuable for me, if that's enough for you. Anyways, joking.
So
That's good.
So I'm trying to find out a nice example, and because I'm trying to find out, I cannot, but when I ask for it, it will probably come to me. So if I'm a place in which I am given all the enjoyable things, I'm free to taste them, I'm free to enjoy them, I can do everything I like. I'm in a palace or maybe an island, whichever your favorite place, isolated or crowded, whatever you like. And you are a guest in this place, and you are again given everything that you enjoy. And there's nothing to complain, right? The owner says, just enjoy them and know that they are coming from me, because I want you to know me. That's the point of you being there. And the owner says that don't think they belong to you, because they don't, but you can enjoy them. So what we do, we say, and the owner says, and don't break them, please. It's not only for you. It is for you, but it's not only for you. They have purpose in themselves as well. There are tiny creatures living inside, for instance. Don't, disturb their peace as well. And like Aziz, myself as well, my nafs, my soul says, this is such a bad deal. I enjoy all these things and I cannot attribute things to me. And if I break something, I am guilty of it. What kind of deal it is? So when we put it that way, it sounds like it's obvious that I'm stupid, nothing more, right? Like if I'm complaining about this as Birkan, I'm a silly person. Like I'm given all these things and just ask not to break them. And I say still that this is a bad deal. Why? Because, because I think that I have to attribute something to myself.
Mhm.
That I have to own something, or I want to deny the owner. I want to attribute things to this picture over there. This picture creating, giving me everything. That's the issue I'm having here. So I guess the text, what is suggested in text, is not any different, because author even says there is no evil. Author says like whatever you have in your life is nothing but beauty, and it is given you for enjoyment. And all you need to do, don't break things, and don't attribute them to false owners. Just attribute them to their rightful owner. That's all. But we still think, and again, Aziz, this is not for you, don't get me wrong. Like I find myself the same condition as well. We still think this is a bad deal, because we take it from only responsibility and punishment perspective. As if when we do something good, like when we experience something good, and if we do not attribute it to ourselves, as if something is missing. Why? Like what is missing? You are enjoying it. You are benefiting from it. What else you can ask for? Oh, no. I have to claim. I have to walk on the earth, as the Surah Isra was saying, we were studying. We have to walk on the earth being proud, arrogantly. Otherwise, we will feel as it's a bad deal. That's one thing. You want to say something? I will change the gear a little bit.
Okay, just one thing. So Aziz was also saying that there are some values in the wrongdoings that I did in the past. So I think in there, even the credit goes to the one who allowed you to make that mistake. So let's say I made an evil choice, but that is still a choice. It doesn't create anything. Let's say I chose to, I don't know, kill someone, whatever. I chose to do something.
You chose to obey your wife, which is a very terrible choice, right?
Yeah.
Evil.
Like, imagine Umar radiallahu anh chose to bury his daughter alive. And he was allowed to do that. Fast forward years later, this scene, he remembers that scene and super remorseful of that scene. It becomes sort of his elevation also, like just showing repentance for that moment is also becoming a valuable moment for him right now. But can he say that, oh, I did that thing wrong, and now I am benefiting from it? For that benefit, again, he will thank his creator, because the creator created that scene, and that scene was evil from from the perspective of Umar at the moment, because his choice was totally evil. But the creator, as the author says in here, the creation aspect of things are not evil. Out of that evil scene, for instance, even today we are benefiting from that evil scene, which was evil relative to the one who chose it. but it was not evil relative to the one who created it. So Creator created that scene and made people witness to that scene so that today we can still learn something from that scene about our Creator. So this is why in there, yes, there is a good potential in your evils which are created, but again, the credit for the good in there goes to the one who created it. But the Creator says, I would like to create you that scene and make you get some pain out of that. I'm going to create pain for you as well, so that you will understand what you did was wrong, you will repent. So to whom does this credit go to? Still, it is by the mercy of the Creator that he gives you a message out of your ill will at some point.
I think one important difference must be made there, though. So the value is not in the evil that you choose. The value is in the repentance if you do. So I guess saying that, you know, the evil things are good as well because they are part of our education.
Birkan, sorry to interrupt. What you said
Please,
in
go ahead.
English, you said some English stuff there I didn't get. You said the value is not in the evil that you do; it's in
the
some blame.
repentance that you choose.
What does that mean? What does that word mean?
Being istighfar, being
remorseful,
like regretful.
Okay.
I regret that I did it, and I'm, you know, making dua to my Lord so that he will forgive me. So like saying that the evil is good, it's like saying that like a bad is good. So it doesn't make much sense. But the fact that this the choice of evil is given to you, yes, it is good. As actually, Ashanur already explained this to some extent. So when a bad idea comes to your mind, for instance, the idea, you didn't create the idea, you didn't create the feeling that I'm, you know, scared of something, that I didn't choose to be scareful, fearful. It is there, and its presence that some bad ideas come to my mind, that is a good thing. But if I choose to follow them, and if I commit a crime, for instance, there's nothing good in it. There's nothing good in this choice. But after I do it, when it becomes the matter of past, as author will say, or he already said, right, in previous paragraph, once it becomes a matter of the past, now it is, it should be taken within the scope of divine determining. I would say, you know, my Creator somehow placed me in this position. It is in the past now. But my choice, that I choose to do it, I choose to do the wrong thing. There's nothing good in it still. In Quran, God says, we will replace their bad things, right? Badal, like we will make the good things as a replacement. Like we will replace their bad deeds with good deeds. When they are believers, when they are the form of repentance. Repent. when they are regretful, when they are, you know, make supplication to the Lord. Oh my Lord, forgive me. I realized my mistake. Now this action becomes good thing for you. And if you are a true believer, And if your supplication is accepted, then it becomes, it is replaced with good deed. Now it works as part of your training. But if you are choosing bad things, the wrong things, and then say, who cares, I chose it. So that's who I am. My creator created me this way. I do bad things. And you continue doing this. You already resigned from being a student. So there's no education for you. Education is present when you do something bad, just like every other human being, because every human being does bad things, except prophet, let's say. What makes it training is what you do after you do the bad things. The difference between Adam and Satan, right? They are kind of, the partners in the same crime. Satan, whispers into his ears, let's say, and then he fulfills the action. So they are partners, let's say. But one of them asks for forgiveness. The other one says, oh, my creator caused me to do that. The Satan says, it is you who created me this way. That's the difference. If you want your education to lead you to become a Satan, yes, continue doing the good things and say that, oh, my good things are also valuable. Bad things, sorry. If you want to end up with as Adam, then once you do the bad thing, you ask for forgiveness. Now it is replaced with goodness. Now it becomes your education.
And it is he who converts them into good. Like yubadilullahu sayyatim hasanatin, the action belongs to the creator. He converts your bad deeds into good deeds. If you feel like, oh, I am taking lessons from my bad deeds and now it is becoming good, then again, it's not working out.
So that's the reason I said, when you make supplication, and if it is accepted, if he replaces them, he replaces them. It's not your choice.
Alhamdulillah. Any other comments? Chandran Abdurrahman, please go ahead.
Assalamu alaikum. I mean, actually, both of you summarized it very well. I don't have anything much to add, except I just wanted to speak on something that kind of like caught my attention. So what I'm understanding here is that there is no scenario in which the thing I am experiencing is actually meant to be torture for me, or it's meant to punish me, or it's meant to be something that causes me pain or suffering. What I'm seeing here is that even when you choose to do something wrong and it is created because you requested it, and then it is created, but there is still good in that for you. And for you to be able to understand that good, you need to choose, or you need to be able to see, or you have to be like God conscious. Because whenever something happens, there's a choice that you can make. Since we're talking about power of choice, you can, like, let's say rain, floods, and then something happens. Or, while I'm walking, I stub my toe, like I hit a couch with my toe or something, and I have a power of choice there. And I guess sometimes we forget that. Sometimes we think, oh, I feel pain and I feel anger and it's automatic. I have no choice but to feel these. I have no choice but to get angry. You almost feel like I have no choice but to get depressed. Like, why is the world like this? Like, it rained, it destroyed everything, I have to get depressed. This is the automatic reaction. But actually, we are given the power of choice in that, let's say it rains and it destroys my surroundings. Hopefully not too bad, but let's say it happens, then I have this feeling in me of, oh, it destroyed everything I own. Oh, now my life is more difficult. There's a feeling that's created in me like that. But at the same time, I can choose to be like, okay, yes, this happened, but it doesn't mean that this is an evil for me. It doesn't mean that this is my punishment. It doesn't mean that this is torture for me. I can acknowledge that feeling. I have the power to choose to say this feeling exists, but I will not choose to say that this is torture for me. You know, I will say that this was created by my Rabb. This was created by one who is all merciful, all wise. And by making that choice, it's such a thin line almost, but they spread away from each other so much, because in one, you choose to have more of an egocentric view where you're like, oh, this is destroying everything I have. Why is this like this? And it just leads into more, it's like a negative feedback. It leads into more bad feelings, more turmoil. While the other one, you choose to say, this is from my creator. I have these feelings, but it is from my creator, because you know that I am given this power of choice. And that leads you then to, you know, be humble before him, to ask from him, to be ask help from him, and that alleviates the burdens that you're going through. But coming back to the first point, I don't like the point I was trying to make is there's really no scenario in which I'm meant to feel pain. Even in my punishment, or even when I choose the wrong thing, what is being created for me still has lessons in it for me, that if I choose correctly, if I use my consciousness correctly, I will still find beauty in it. Yeah.
Jazakallah khair. So I keep reading from here. As for evils, it is man's soul that wants them, either through capacity or through choice. Like in the white and beautiful light of the sun, some substances become black and putrefy, and the blackness is related to their capacity. However, it is Almighty God who creates the evils through a divine law which comprises numerous benefits. That is to say, the cause and the request are from the soul, so that it is the soul which is responsible, while it is Almighty God who creates the evils and brings them into existence. And since they have other results and fruits which are good, they are good. So in this regard, actually, it's saying evil does not exist in a sense, right?
Not in a sense, like evil doesn't exist, it says, yes.
So evil exists in your perception, in your understanding, or relative to you, meaning I really willed evil when I was doing it. Like, there was no good intention or saying that, oh, I am now doing this, but eventually it's going to turn out to be good. This was not my point. Whenever I choose something evil, I am choosing it, and it's totally dark on my end. But when we look at it from the truth perspective, like as it is being brought into existence, the creator is creating it. This is where the all-knowing, all-merciful, all-wise one is giving existence to something. So this is where all the beauties reside.
If you read the next paragraph very quickly.
It is for the above reason that the acquisition, cast of evil, that is the desire for evil, is evil, but the creation of evil is not evil. A lazy man who receives damage from rain, which comprises many instances of good, may not say that the rain is not mercy. Yes, together with a minor evil in its creation are numerous instances of good. To abandon that good for a minor evil becomes a greater evil. Therefore, a minor evil becomes like good. There is no evil or ugliness in divine creation. They rather pertain to his servant's wish and to his capacity.
So, and when he says there's a tiny minor evil, it's just like as a matter of example, for the sake of example, he says so in a rain example. Otherwise, the author would attribute this even minor evil to your perception, your desire, your choice. Otherwise, whatever is created in front of you, even something being cut, like your hand, or even somebody's head, in this creation, in this event itself, there's no evil.
So Nazmul asks a question. He says, can we say God creates the desire as well? So I'm assuming this question is for the desire to evil. Nazmul, is this what you're asking? Because the desire for good was already mentioned as such above. Yes, desire for evil. So what is that desire for evil? Does such a thing exist, or what do we mean by that?
Assalamu alaikum.
Wa alaikum assalam.
So
ahead.
just a desire to I guess disobey, like I guess a command of God, or to do something against your nature. I don't know how else to define it.
Maybe something like, I don't have an answer to that, but one thing that recently I was warned, so I will, just reflect the warning that I received to my beautiful friend, that when we try to understand such a subtle matter, I guess we should be careful with the terms that we use. So when we say desire for evil, so I'm not sure man or human being has a desire for evil. The choice is given. So for instance, the whisper, let's say, let's make it religious. The whisper for evil is created in you, that you hear the voice that, oh, you should steal this, or do you want to steal this? But if you are talking about the desire, I think our conscience, if it is not, let's say, broken by us, our conscience would say, don't do it. I don't enjoy it. Your fitra, your, what makes you human being would say, this is not good for you. So all these things are created. The guidance for not doing evil is created in you. The choice is also given to you, created by the Creator. Whatever Satan whispers to you is created by the Creator for your training. But your choice, the power of choice, is the subtle thing that we are discussing, right? The power of choice, author says the responsibility of this tiny thing, the power of choice, not desire, is yours. Do we have a desire for evil? I would say no. We have desire to, another term which sounds like repel from the evil, escape from the evil. Like when you touch a hot thing, you put your finger on a hot surface and you immediately take it over, right? They take it away. The same way, the human being has this, what we call as conscience. The truth is in you, in your soul, in your spirit, tells you that don't go there. So you have desire for the truth, the desire for goodness. But again, the choice, the whisper is created so that you analyze it. You say, this doesn't make sense. I shouldn't steal. And you make the choice of not stealing. When you steal, I guess saying that, oh, you know, I wanted to steal and this want was also created in me. It's just a matter of language. No, you didn't have want. You didn't have desire. You knew deep inside that you didn't want it, but you chose it. This power of choice, again, the only thing that you can attribute to yourself.
Okay, so Nazmul says, want for a good thing was created in time, but I chose an unethical means to get it. So that word unethical, getting into
For
the...
stealing, I guess.
Okay. Want for a good thing was created in me, but I chose an unethical means to get it. Okay.
Also, with a good thing, so in this stealing example, again, there are different things. Like, yes, there's a beautiful apple there. You are hungry. This hunger is created. Desire to eat the apple is created. Yes, but I'm not talking about that when I say the good thing. I say the voice. This is the Western way of talking, right? The voice in me which says, don't steal. This is the good, which is created in me as well. So the notion of not stealing, desire towards not stealing is also created in me. That's what I was referring to when I say good thing is created.
Okay, I just have a clarification. So you're saying that so the good thing is the desire to not steal, and I guess an evil choice would be if you repel that good thing, right?
So
You repel that
yes,
voice and you go ahead and
you
still
wouldn't show consent. You cover it. You become a kafir.
Okay.
You cover the desire for good. Yeah.
And so I feel like the options being created in front of me, like a multiple choice exam, not infinitely many choice, but multiple choice. I was taught what was correct. And I am given the question, I am given options. Options are given to me. And I am being rewarded if I choose the correct one. And sometimes some questions are a little, I don't know if you would like to call it tricky, but again, the purpose of asking such questions is for me to learn. But there's all incentives for me to choose the right answer. But still, the wrong answers are written by the teacher. But if I go and choose the wrong answer, despite the teacher teaching me the same topic for how many times, it is me who chose the wrong answer. But if I go and choose the right answer, the teacher would say, yes, you did good, you are right. But this is what you were supposed to do anyways, because since the beginning of the semester, I have been telling it to you so many times. And in the question, I was already giving these hints that would lead you to there. Yeah, in some questions, I'm also putting some tricky, let's say, wrong answers, so that you can think a little more and learn more from that question. So it's not being super openly easy sometimes. But if I at the end come and say, well, for the good questions, you are the one who takes the credit because you asked it so well. But when I choose the wrong answer, why am I being the one to blame? I mean, you put that question in there. You tried to deceive me, sort of. So now you should be blameworthy for me choosing the wrong answer. But it doesn't work like that, right? because every choice in that question was written so that even the wrong choices were written so that I would learn from them by not choosing them. And I was given the incentives to choose the right answer. But if I insist on choosing the wrong answer, and this is how we do it in life, all blame goes to me.
And it is as such in very like cleverly and nicely prepared math questions, right? When you look at the answers, like you have 4 choices, let's say, and one of them is right. But if you are good in math as well, and the question is prepared really carefully, when you look at the wrong choices, you say, I know, like this happens, like you computing something, let's say. The right answer is 12. One of the choices is 7. When you look at the 7, you say, oh yeah, it would be 7 if I didn't see this part of the question. Or it would be 5 if I, took the sign of some function in reverse order. So the answers are, even the wrong ones, are really carefully selected. It's teaching me how the sign of the function is important.
So I think in here, when in Nazmu's question, desire for evil, like that part, I guess we need to put a question mark. What do we mean by desire for evil? As I was trying to frame it as a question, like an exam question in which the purpose is to teach you, but sometimes the wrong answers look like correct answer. But again, the purpose is to teach me. And it's not that I am being put in here without being taught anything. So the teacher has already educated me about all different versions of it and gave me this conscience, which is going to have an inclination towards the correct choices. So this is why I would just say the desire for evil, maybe double think if it is the same thing as desire for good.
So I guess it's all about, the movies. Like we learn about the human condition from the movies. We see some people who have some disorder or mental issues, who desire for evil, or who
Hannibal Lecter,
right? So as if, there's something wrong in this guy. He didn't have any choice because the movie plot is put in front of us in that way. So the director or screenwriter or whatever it's called, the writer of the movie, who already had the worldview in her mind, right? He thought that some people had desire for evil. This is a glitch in their software, the evolution, and so on and so forth. And everything we see in front of us loaded by this worldview, and we accept it as it is. Or we read some psychiatric books written by, these people, again, with certain worldview, who thinks the human beings are, again, the product of some evolutionary processes. Hence, there might be something wrong in some of them. Again, the software has some bugs, right, in some people. So such a thing is possible. And we take them as granted. We say, oh yeah, this is human being. Now I will try to understand my religion by believing in such a human being. That there can be a desire for evil in a human being, and he cannot do anything else, and so on and so forth. But I guess we should be careful that when we try to understand, especially human beings, we should forget, it's not possible, unfortunately, but at least we should try to forget what we've been taught about what we are. How things in us work, we should forget about them and try to learn them from Quran. or a source that take Quran as the guidance. That's the only reason we're reading this text. Not because the author is a clever man, not because he's a great scholar, great scientist, great philosopher. No. The only reason we're reading this text, because author says, whatever I'm reading here, it's coming from what I understood from Quran. So that's the only reason we're reading. And we take this text as a means to learn about ourselves. So let's not come preloaded with the philosophies from these movies or books or discussions from the sources other than Quran, written by sources other than Quran. Let's try to forget about them. Let's forget about what psychiatry tells us about how human mind works. And let's look how our Creator defines, how our Creator explains how our mind works.
So, with that paragraph, we talked about half of the evil. In the next paragraph onwards, he is talking about the other half of evil. Since we read it, I will quickly cover it, although we are out of time. But so this paragraph, the one that we read, which was saying that there is no evil or ugliness in divine creation, and he was pointing to in terms of its source, because from the source relative to human, my choice is the source, and my choice when I'm choosing to do evil, I am totally willing to kill someone, or I'm totally willing to, I don't know, own something, although it's not mine.
Some simple examples, you are recorded.
So these are all, as you look at it from my end, it's totally evil. But if we look at it from the creation point of view, like divine creation, there's no evil, no ugliness. And for the second part, the author is saying that as divine determining is both exempt from evil and ugliness with regard to results and fruits, and free from tyranny and ugliness with respect to reason and cause. So now results and fruits is, although from my end it was evil, I was feeling ill, yet the Creator created it because it had good results and fruits. About the other end, the author says, divine determining looks to the true causes and acts justly. Man constructs their judgment on causes which they see superficially and fall into error with the pure justice of divine determining. For example, a judge finds you guilty of theft and sends you to prison. You are not a thief, but you have committed a murder which no one knows. Thus, divine determining also sentenced you to imprisonment. Like judge sentenced you to imprisonment unjustly, but divine justice or divine determining sentenced you to the prison justly. So it sentenced you to the secret murder. The divine determining sentenced you to the prison for the secret murder and acted justly. Since the judge sentenced you for theft for which you were innocent, he acted unjustly. On his end, the judge is unjust, but divine determining is just because I did some other mistake for which now Qadar is punishing me or sentencing me. Thus, in a single thing, the justice of divine determining and divine creation and man's wrongful choice or acquisition were apparent in two respects. You can make analogies with this for other things. That is to say, with regard to origin and end, source and branch, cause and result, divine determining and creation are exempt from evil, ugliness, and tyranny. And this part is important because this one is framing a worldview with which I can live a life. And whenever something that is apparently evil happens to me, now that it happened to me, it is created, I need to look back and say, there are two aspects to that, in terms of its cause and in terms of its end results. So in terms of its cause, if I feel like somebody just did something wrong to me, and on their end, it was just out of jealousy, let's say, it was evil. But since the creator allowed this to happen, or actually willed this to happen, so from Qadar point of view, there is justice in here. I need to check for that. And then there's the second part. Since the creator willed this apparently evil thing to come into being, there would come into fruits of that eventually, sooner or later. So these are the two aspects that I can look as I start living with Qadar. And this is the comfort or the practical use of belief in Qadar and how it can become part of my everyday life. I mean, said easier than done for sure, but I just wanted to put it there before we wrap it up for today. I mean, if you have any comments, please share it now, or we can start from here again next week. I am pausing for a few seconds. Any comments, please? Okay, so inshallah next week, I mean, keep reading the topic. If you would like to make any comment about this part, we can start from there. Otherwise, we can start from here. سبحانك لا علم لنا إلا ما علمتنا إنك أنت العليم الحكيم وآخر دعواهم أن الحمد لله رب العالمين. الفاتحة.